Publix with their findings in primetime tonight, presenting new evidence as well. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Jessica Crawford. We'll get to all the news out of the nation's capital in just a few. But first, we are taking a live look from our Mile High cam. 8 o'clock on the dot. Another warm day on tap for Thursday. You were calling it pool weather, Lisa.
It is, yeah, a little cloudy right now, but we'll see a bit more sunshine here by midday. You can see on satellite and radar a few of those light showers rolling in from the west. So there will be a chance for some scattered storms and showers this afternoon. The risk of severe weather is going to be a little farther east of Denver, where we could get more lightning, some hail, and it looks like some gustier winds. We'll see a chance, though, here in town, too. Upper 70s by about 11 o'clock. We'll be in the low to, it looks like, upper 80s for highs today. Denver right around 88, Platteville 90, Evergreen near 80, Boulder here at 87. So a pretty warm afternoon for us, warmer than what we saw yesterday. Coming up, though, we'll take a look at that risk for some severe weather here in town, and again, especially east of Denver and east of I-25. In just a few minutes on the Super 7 Day.
And right now we do have a minor crash up there near Interlochen on that westbound side of Highway 36. It might slow you down slightly as they're way over on the left side. So there is a little bit of bunch up traffic right by the mall, but it's not a really long-lived slowdown, and you're not going to need an alternate route right now. What I want to do is take it, well, this is actually some slow traffic going to buy some debris on southbound 225 right after Smith Road. You probably don't even notice the Smith Road Bridge before you get to Colfax, but there's some debris in there. I want to take you over to I-70 by Quebec, and you can see on the westbound side is that would be the traffic going away from us. Folks are using the express lane. It is free to use the express lane right now, but because you have 4 lanes going down to 3, you have that choke point there at Colorado Boulevard, and that's why on the map you see that slowdown right there after Quebec here by about Holly Street or so going over to Colorado Boulevard. That's why all that red is in there. The eastbound side, those express lanes should be opening by next Friday.
Well, this morning, a sweeping package of gun control and safety measures has passed the U.S. House. It is now headed to the Senate.
The Protecting Our Kids Act includes bills to raise the minimum age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle to 21. It would also make gun trafficking and selling large capacity magazines federal offenses. Plus, the act would strengthen existing regulations on bump stocks and ghost guns. The bill is unlikely to pass in the Senate, though. It did pass the House largely on a party line vote. Each of Colorado's Democratic members voting yes, and all of Colorado's Republican members voting no.
Well, that House vote came after gut-wrenching testimony from the mother of Lexi Rubio, a student who was killed in the Uvalde school shooting, and an 11-year-old who took extreme measures to survive it.
He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and put it all over me.
We don't want you to think of Lexi as just a number. She was intelligent, compassionate, and athletic. She was quiet, shy unless she had a point to make. So today, we stand for Lexi, and as her voice, we demand action.
Another witness was called by Republicans, and she argues it isn't about the guns. Lucretia Hughes lost her 19-year-old son to gun violence.
20 more laws, 1,000 more, won't make what has already illegal more wrong or stop criminals from committing these crimes.
She has called for more help addressing mental health and improving school security. Both are being addressed by a bipartisan group in the Senate.
Yesterday at 8, we told you about one Colorado high school that's bringing in new technology to keep kids and teachers safe. Well, Denver 7's Veronica Costa is live. And Veronica, you have more on South Park High School in Fairplay that is set to become the first in our state to get this special alert system.
It's a really unique kind of technology in the form of the button that could help in case of an active shooter. So it's actually a technology called ASR Threat, and it looks just like this, just a button. If someone were to push it, law enforcement would get a notification of some sort immediately. That notification wouldn't just tell them the time the button was pushed, for example. It would get down to the exact room number so police know where to go. And there won't just be one of these at South Park High School. Officials we spoke to told me that for the sake of security, they don't want to disclose exactly how many there will be, but they will be on places like walls and lanyards and other areas. ASR is the company that created the technology. Convergent is helping install it. It's also the company that made it possible for South Park High to get the tech for free. Now listen to why one employee told me this work really does matter.
This system is important because it provides real-time information for responding agencies. So it allows them to have more information in the event of an unplanned security event. Wherever the device is activated in the school, the law enforcement will know, or responding agencies will know exactly where it was activated.
The installation process for the button has already started, and officials say that they are set to have it all completed by tomorrow. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Veronica, thank you. New overnight, President Biden spoke about the gun debate in an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel.
Can't you issue an executive order? Trump passed those out like Halloween candy.
Yes, sir.
I did. Isn't that something that could happen?
Well, I have issued executive orders within the power of the presidency to be able to deal with these, everything having to do with guns, gun ownership, whether or not you have to have a waiting, all the things are within my power. But what I don't want to do, and I'm not being facetious, I don't want to emulate Trump's abuse of the Constitution and constitutional authority.
President Biden later said he's more optimistic than ever, calling young people the best educated, least prejudiced, and most giving generation in American history.
Today, a congressional committee is opening the door on its investigation into the January 6th riot. The House committee investigating the attack from last year will reveal its findings live in prime time to the public for the first time. Lawmakers hope to show the American people how democracy came to the brink of disaster, and they say former President Donald Trump is to blame.
ABC's M. Nguyen kicks off our team coverage from Capitol Hill. The hearing will feature never-before-seen video and witness testimony.
Good morning. The January 6th House Select Committee has poured through thousands of records and hours of testimony to establish the truth of what happened that day. All of that leading up to tonight's opening hearing. The House Select Committee investigating the deadly January 6th Capitol attack, presenting its mountain of explosive material for the first time in prime time. The panel vows to lay out step by step how former President Donald Trump and his allies did more than provoke and carry out an attack on the Capitol, but deliberately worked to undermine American democracy and overturn his loss in the 2020 presidential election.
The idea that all of this was just a rowdy demonstration that spontaneously got a little bit out of control is absurd.
The committee tonight revealing taped testimony with Trump administration officials, as well as Trump family members.
Ivanka Trump, I'm told, is quite candid about the fact that she told her father that he needed to do something to get out there to stop the riot.
Lawmakers will also hear from a documentary filmmaker who captured this video showing the Proud Boys leader meeting with the Oath Keepers.
I think people are going to be absolutely surprised how much was known.
Ahead of the hearing tonight, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is expected to attack the findings of the committee, which Republicans have called illegitimate and partisan. M. Nguyen, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
Well, meanwhile, the fallout from the Capitol attack has led to the largest prosecution in the history of the U.S. Justice Department. More than 800 people have been charged for their involvement.
The charges range from low-level misdemeanors for those who entered the Capitol to felony seditious conspiracy charges against far-right extremists. Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is taking a closer look at the Coloradans facing charges.
There's at least a dozen cases from Colorado, ranging from Trinidad to Telluride, all of them facing charges for their roles in those riots. Most of them face a slew of charges, and some they're taking plea agreements, but others are pushing ahead with a trial. Like Jacob Clark from Trinidad, whose charges include violent entry to the Capitol and obstruction of justice. His last court appearance was at the beginning of June, and he'll have a status conference at the end of August ahead of a trial. Meanwhile, a Peyton man, Thomas Hamner, is pleading guilty to his charges and should be sentenced in September. He's charged with civil disorder and assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers using a dangerous weapon, among other things. Now, you can see in these screenshots from court documents that's allegedly Hamner fighting with police. And one of the more well-known names in this group, former Olympic swimmer Cleet Keller of Colorado Springs. He pleaded guilty back in September to obstruction of Congress and agreed to fully cooperate with the investigation. He has a virtual court date coming up soon, but even with that plea agreement, he faces more than 2 years in prison and anywhere from $10,000 to $95,000 in fines. One of the Coloradans who's already been sentenced and pleaded guilty to the charges against them got home detention, time in community corrections, 3 years of probation, and a $500 fine. But that's all for charges that didn't involve any kind of violent actions in or on the grounds of the Capitol. In the newsroom, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Colette, thank you. You can watch the hearing tonight on Denver 7 at 6 p.m. Denver 7 News at 6 will be streaming on Denver 7 Plus and on the denverchannel.com.
The billion-dollar deal, multi-billion-dollar deal for the Broncos means big changes for the team. Obviously, financially, Rob Walton, the Walmart family heir, becomes part owner, meaning more funding for the team. Walton's net worth is an estimated $58 billion. So even after paying $4.6 billion for the Broncos, he'll be the richest owner in the NFL. According to team GM Joe Ellis, Walton's first priority will likely be sorting out the new stadium issue. But more importantly, he just wants the owner to be involved, not just a figurehead.
We want a person that is going to be present and is going to be engaged and you know, not be distant from his or her franchise. Be very visible, be very present.
Here's a portion of what Walton himself had to say in a statement. In part, he outlined how excited the Walton Penner Group is to steward the Broncos, and he spoke glowingly about the fans and the state of Colorado as a whole, and says he's admired the Broncos for a long time, and it's only grown as he's learned more about the team.
The reason why Colorado leaders are now looking into Representative Lauren Boebert's campaign finances.
And some scary moments for a snake-bitten pup. How the dog is doing today after a strike on a trail.